December 2022, the news of the year. Good evening and how's it going? How's it day?
Great, greatly concerned. A very good evening to you. It's been a sunny day in the city. I just hope you had a fantastic day as well.
And it feels, warm today.
Yeah.
Unlike the Hamatan in Jos, this is the season, but it's pretty warm today, I would say. Yeah, well, what stories have you been following, Gilbert?
The National Assembly seems to have woken up from its slumber, with the purported scrutiny of budget, the budget defense by ministers and all that. I was just asking myself, why now, right? Is it better late than never, or is it just a show of, ahead of just next year's election? Got me thinking a lot, got me really thinking a lot.
Yeah.
The Minister for Works, Babatunde Raji Fashola, complaining that the monies budgeted for him ahead of 2023's fiscal year is not as expected. It's sort of, I don't know, I really don't get the picture coming from the National Assembly. And then of course you have the Minister of Finance being invited for certain reasons, amongst which includes the undermining of what is it called? The AUGF's office, right? Some of these issues, I began to just wonder, we haven't done this in a long while. It's just coming to be, or even now. But it's good that it's happening now.
It is good. I've been following the Afenifere, Paruben Fashoranti and Adebayo Adebanjo, and this is what he said. He said that he was misinterpreted in the media on the issue between himself and the acting leader of the group, Ayo Adebanjo. Fashoranti said that he never stopped Adebanjo from being the acting leader of Afenifere. I think that these two senior citizens, I would dare say, wouldn't want any crap, in the Yoruba. Afenifere is the strongest Yoruba socio-cultural organization, and they wouldn't want any crap because of politics. And Ayo Adebanjo has said that they are tilting towards Peter Obi, while Ayo Fashoranti prayed for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, went and visited him at his home. So, well, let's watch. But as to whether Tinubu is going to tear the Southwest, for example, when it comes to vote, is one thing. I would say is one thing, but we are watching.
Yeah, really interesting, the drama going on between the two elder statesmen, like you said. It's been quite disheartening. I think for political reasons, these elders who are supposedly on their way out of the picture shouldn't allow this sort of crack for political reasons come on board. And before we began the show, I think a few hours ago, I read his resignation letter talking about Paruben Fashoranti from the Afenifere leadership. He said at 95, as at the time, right, he doesn't think he's strong enough to be able to carry on the task of leading the Pan-Yoruba Socio-Cultural Organization. And then you have him again coming to cause this sort of step. It smacks of a lot of question marks, if you ask me, Konsak. And I think that they need to take a stand, they need to clear the air. If it's even one person they are going to be endorsing, let's really understand this, rather than them just come out to watch their linens in the public, not necessarily dirty linens here with their end.
Yeah. Well, we have a guest. We're not going to, drag the conversation. We have the presidential candidate of the African Action Congress. It kind of feels like the EFF in South Africa.
You can't be freedom fighters.
Julius, Malema. It kind of feels like that, but I know that the ideas are the same. The presidential candidate of the African Action Congress, Mr. Omoyele Sowore, journalist, politician. Good evening. Thank you very much for coming to JFM and Jos.
Thank you very much.
Well, let's. How do you feel? This is the first time in Jos, or
no? Actually, this is my fourth time in Jos, or fourth. Because the number of times I was passing through Jos to go and carry, and I've lived. I've come here to the conference in 2018 and 2019. I came twice during that election itself.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I love it here. The weather was really nice.
okay? I was gonna ask about our weather, about our food. What do you think?
I haven't tried anything yet.
Maybe you should try what take Amora. You're going to love it. Amora, you're going to love it.
Amora, strongly recommended.
You're going to love it.
As soon as I get out of here.
Okay. Well, this is the second time you're contesting.
That's right.
Yeah.
what gives you the hope,
Confidence.
the confidence and hope that if you win the election, your ideas will be beneficial for our society?
Because these ideas are not ideas that just started yesterday. The ideas that have been formulated both in my mind, the ideas that I've spoken extensively about, the ideas about which I've put my life on the line several times, the ideas of democracy, of good governance, the ideas of revolutionary transformation of our society. And I've not just spoken about them, I've lived the life of these ideas. And the ideas that have been shaped by a lot of experiences, exposure, education, and personal conviction. So, there are some of the ideas that some of them are being implemented now from those who stole the ideas from us as far back as 2018.
Okay, so let's center this conversation on media. What do you think the media has been doing very wrongly when it comes to every election cycle in our country? Do you think that the media is not present? Do you think that media is not presenting the issues in a very lucid and clear manner, to the voting public, so that they will make decisions? The voter, because I believe in liberal democracy, the voter knows best, the customer is always right, and beauty is in the eyes of the beholder.
Yes.
But when it comes to Nigeria, what do you think the media has been doing wrongly in every election cycle?
I mean, the media is doing exactly what it was created to do, which is before you can determine and shape the view of the media, you have to have control over the media. You have, first and foremost, you must democratize the media for you to get liberal democracy, as we said. But the way to judge the media is to look at the ownership of media in the country, especially the mainstream media. We are even lucky that there is now digital media that they don't have absolute control over, and that everybody has become some sort of a journalist on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram these days, Snapchat, all those platforms, microblogging platforms. That's what it's saying there. But what they're doing wrong regarding the mainstream is that they've always presented to the Nigerian public a fait accompli. And what's fait accompli? They choose candidates they judge in their own mind are the best.
That's the media.
Yes, even though these candidates.
Yeah, but what criteria,
been-
do you think that they consider, okay, these candidates are best?
Well, already they are presenting in this election cycle, for instance, that's my best example. They are presenting as frontliners or frontrunners, people who don't even talk, people who have not granted interview to them, people from whom they've never asked or gotten any answers. I mean, they've never asked questions or gotten any answers. They present them as frontrunners. They don't present people who are not running as frontrunners, who are not running the race. It's just like saying that, in a running race, we have already presented people who are coming for the first time as the winner of the race. That's not done. But they know why they're doing it. That's why I spoke first about ownership. The media can do anything. They can manipulate the public.
So should ownership be democratized, owning the media, and do you think it should be?
I think what should happen is to lower the barrier to entry. That anybody who is capable.
What do you mean? Explain.
When I don't think that people should be getting radio licenses based on connections. It should be based on competence. But how do you argue that when the person who is presiding over the country is not president based on competence? It's based on part of the issues where the cabal runs the country. They impose
Yeah,
on
but
the
in
country.
every society there's a cabal. It's a human thing. There are people who think that we're
I don't
smart
think it's fair to say that in every society. So those of us who have traveled to about 13 countries around the world, we don't find that to be the case that all the time some people just sit down and choose for the people.
No, in Nigeria maybe it's more pronounced.
Yeah, but what they said it's not every society. There are societies that I use Obama for instance. And this is interesting considering the conversation about media. Obama became a front runner by way of a speech he gave at the Democratic Convention, his idea, his coherence. That's what made him a front runner in the election where he won the election. He didn't become a front runner by being a former senator or governor. In fact, he defeated the person who was expected to win the primaries, Hillary Clinton. You understand? And Hillary had to come become a minister, the secretary, foreign affairs secretary, under the Obama regime. But had the media of the US behaved like Nigerian media, they would have projected Hillary and the other candidate from the Republican Party as the only two front runners. Everybody else is not given airtime. Everybody else is not in fact, they are planning right now to invite these so-called frontliners to a debate in which we know that most of them may not even attend. I know one that will never attend a debate because they have nothing to say. And those of us who have bright, fantastic ideas, who are espousing them, talking about them with clarity, with data, backed with intellect, they don't want to talk to us. They don't want us to be in that debate
group.
That's a debate group. That's what they're doing. It's like they're trying to change the voice of those who have the best to offer from getting to the public who need to hear and make informed decisions based on this kind of conversations.
The question I'm going to ask would have a lot to touch on your activism side.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure you do justice to that. Can you help us to assess the freedom of the press for as long as you can remember? And considering the fact that you're giving so much applause to the media, right? So in the face of affront and perceived persecution of the media, how well has the industry been able to thrive, and how well have the players been able to
you have to look at Nigerian media based on a number of parameters. You just said there can be free press, but the press can be free and may not be free based on a number of factors. One of it might be that somebody may not even be trying to get you arrested or killed as a media person. When that you start censoring yourself, you lose value. You lose the essence of free media. I preferred the media under the military to the one that we have now.
Why is that?
Because you could see
despite
that
the regulation.
I'm telling you, you could see that in those days, especially the newspapers and news magazines, they defied the government. The government would ban them and they would turn gorilla. They would producing their newspapers. Sometimes they photocopied and they fought the military till the end. Now that the media is regulated and the ownership has been hijacked, not democratized, you now find a media that is defending the old order, that's defending status quo than those ones who fought against military rule.
But they have been great journalists.
That's what drove me, right, to start a media company. Because I used to look up when I lived in the US between 1999 and 2019, particularly my first 4 years in the US. I was insanely, glued to the internet. And the internet was new then to get Nigerian news. I don't know what's happening at home. I was getting it just got worse over time. And you can't say that in the last 2 years, 20 years, that Nigeria has produced very courageous journalists that we used to have before. You can mention names of journalists in the 90s, 80s, who were people are talking about Delegiwati today, 1986. Because he was going after drug lords, he was going after corrupt individuals, powerful military guys. Who does that anymore these days? Except those who are on the internet. So that's the question the media should ask itself. But you also must be considerate to say, look, what is the condition of service of an average media guy? How much do they get paid? Is it worth the risk? Do you have health insurance, for instance? Do you have overtime pays? Do you even get paid on time? I know of some media companies that pay after 6 months.
So in essence, have all of these challenges hampered the delivery of their duty?
Absolutely. And then you have to then combine that with a very hostile environment. That journalists still get disappeared in this country. They still get arrested. People get arrested for posting their stories on Facebook and detained by police, detained by DSS. Then there was a journalist that was in DSS for almost 5 years. Nobody knew until one person that was detained for years. And nobody did anything about it except the international organization CPJ that fought for him. And the worst part, and I will say this, is the journalist unions too in this country, like the NUJ, I will say without missing words, who is practically in bed with the start of the system. So they don't fight for the welfare of journalists, they don't fight for the rights of journalists. You are likely to find them in governor offices and houses or helping government officials to kill stories than fighting for the integrity of journalism in this country.
Let me ask you this question. What do you think the Nigerian voter should be focused on? But the media is kind of confusing, the voter, with all of the noise. Just like Kahneman probably should hope that noise impede our judgment, from knowing the actions are right, that is absolutely beneficial to us. What do you think they are bringing up that is nonsensical? I'm talking right now, the self-reflection, on us right now, that you think is nonsensical, what the media is bringing is nonsensical, but these are the issues that the Nigerian voter should know, so that he's going to make a good democratic choice next year.
The media is promoting mediocrity instead of competence and character. And the excuse is that they would rather go with people they have known. They even say it openly, shamelessly, that the devil they know is better than the angels. They don't know. And how can you have devils and angels and you don't go with the angels? Because the characteristics of the angels are well known. They're clean, they're good, they serve a purpose. They're representing an authority that does no good, does no bad. But that's number one. The second is that they're not interrogating presidential candidates. They choose the ones that come to them, or the ones they can reach. If this was US, some presidential candidates would have dropped out on account of their refusal to engage and interact with the media, with the public through the media. So you can have presidential candidates in Nigeria in 2022 who says to you, well, I'm not running to do good interviews, but to win election. You're not going to win election in any serious society without the media interrogating you on a daily basis. In fact, on an hourly basis, you'll be busy to the point, and they will scrutinize every word you say. They'll scrutinize your past, your present. If there's a scandal, they will feast on it until you explain what it is. We know presidential candidates in this country who have serious scandals, drug scandals, history. Nobody's asking them about it. In fact, the media is doing everything to cover up this kind of histories, and these are what will make our society become the society that we've always all talked about. It's very egalitarian, pure, progressive society. But we're ignoring that. So the media is doing it deliberately. And I will say it without missing that there's corruption in the media. Corruption is killing the Nigerian media. I mean, it got to the point where even diplomats from the US embassy had to say the idea that journalists will want to collect brown envelopes, but the envelopes are no longer brown because they want to collect now. They're not collecting them, they have to count it in front of them before they do anything. And the idea that you can kill a story, you can pay for it, is also a lot of blackmail. They'll get stories, evidence, and approach their victims. So that's also killing the media environment, the ecosystem.
Let me take you on what somebody, a prominent journalist in this country, said just about yesterday, not quite long.
Yeah.
That it doesn't really matter where presidential candidates get to speak. And it's not as though journalists would like to victimize them for not going to certain platforms. The most important thing, according to him, is for them to speak. Are you comfortable with people not speaking to the press and choosing where they
That's what I'm saying. I've said this already. If the media doesn't take itself serious, nobody will take the media serious. I'm talking about Nigerian media now, the so-called leading media. We should have gotten to the point where presidential candidates are practically forced. That is, you come to my station as a rep, I won't let you go in and speak on behalf of the candidate I want to talk to. All the radio stations in this country should have made that decision. All the TV stations should have made that decision that they want to hear from the candidates directly. The candidates are the so-called front line that the media parade from. I've checked my records. One of them has not spoken to any, and not done an interview with any major newspaper, radio.
Yeah, I will be glad if you mention it.
Like Bola Tinubu, even his own TV station, he has not spoken to them. Or he's not assembled any journalists in front of him. Ask me any question you have. None. And the media keeps moving on as if everything's alright. Atiku did one, and they had to go to him on RS TV, his house, to interview him. Probably was heavily edited. The other thing the media would do is to just cover their live events. After the events are even done, they can't pull them aside and say, sir, we need to ask you about what you have just said on your live event. Nobody's doing that. And those of us who do that, they don't want to give us their time. They don't want to give us their time. They don't want to hear, because we would just demolish, the idea that their favored candidates are not helping. I have an experience in just today. I was coming to the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria.
Oh, you came for the PSN, okay.
I just finished speaking before I came to your job.
But they invited all of the presidential candidates.
But it didn't show up. But one thing that had happened is that I had won their representatives, especially their VPs, when they come to events I attend and say, if I see you again, we're going to have to fight. We're going to fight. And it will be bad for you. So they didn't send, nobody sent their vice presidential candidate to it. It didn't show up. So it was me and the presidential candidate of the SDP that came.
Maybe they thought it was not useful, or it's not going to.
It's because they have nothing to say. You could not have ignored pharmacists in Nigeria at an event like this. You couldn't have ignored ICANN. You couldn't have ignored Nigeria Bar Association. It's because they have nothing to say. Atiku went to the Nigeria Bar Association event, but he didn't come to ICANN. He didn't come to PSL. There will be another event for medical doctors. And like I said today, on a light note, the people who actually need pharmacists are the ones who didn't come to attend the event, because they are the ancestors who perpetually need medicine. Anybody can get sick, you understand what I'm saying? But on a serious note, if you want to run this country, healthcare is a big deal. In fact, the American election, I've witnessed about 2 or 3 of them. Healthcare is always a major issue. How are we going to get medicine? Who's going to pay for it? What kind of health insurance policy do we have? What is the role of the Asian votes, and all those things? The health policies of the U.S. almost determine election results every year, because sizable voters have concerns about their health.
Let's talk about some of your ideas. Since 1960 as a country, we've not solved one human problem. We have decrepit infrastructure when it comes, even the railroad we're even building right now. We don't have roads. Air transport is wahala. Education, zero. Healthcare, zero. Public housing, zero. We've not solved practically one human problem that our society, is facing. What are some of the things, for example, education, that you're going to do to promote basic education? Just like what Babs Fafuwa was one who brought the 633 education for us, and it's very helpful. But right now, I think it's even failing right now.
What you didn't say is we didn't solve a single human problem. You didn't say how many were the problems we found on the ground. Okay. So, but let's go to your question. The question about education. Education is so important that anytime you miss out on education, the education of a whole generation or a number of generations, you will suffer generations and generations unborn from that single mistake. You know that popular saying that if you hate education, try ignorance. And you see, as I was talking to the 20 million kids, and I think it's a conservative number, who are supposed to be primary and secondary schools are roaming the streets.
22.
22, right? That's why I said conservative. The lecturers have just done 8 months of strike. You didn't return them to school by way of a resolution of problem. You did with the court order. Never happened before. You have over 8,000 doctors left this country. Pharmacists told me to be 6,000 pharmacists. 6,000? These are official figures. And I was looking at the hall and I told them, I said, it will be more. The rest of you are just waiting for the paperwork to be approved. If it was easy to get out, probably there will be more than 10,000 pharmacists left in the country. The ones that have nowhere to go. And you can't blame them. Everybody has the right to live a great life. But with regards to education, investment in education. You mentioned basic, universal basic education. That is a 1920 concept of education. You know, the easiest way to break it down to is chalk and slate. You understand?
Yeah.
I don't know if you have kids, But I'm sure you don't want to raise your kids on basic education because these kids need to compete in a world that is fast moving right now. What do I have is to invest in digital education. If it's physical, virtual, I don't care. I use an example. Every village I went to 2018 and 2019 has start times, the football viewing center. Has anybody thought about turning the football viewing center to a classroom where you can have teachers outside the country or join even classrooms outside the country?
But bandwidth, is a problem.
Which bandwidth are you using to watch English leagues? No, English league.
Okay.
Yeah, that's also each other. What you do is you force the telephone company and the cable company to do this and to say, look, you also have to supply an education channel for us. For this case, or give us the pipeline to transmit. They'll do it because they are making a cable. DSTV makes more money from Nigeria than anywhere else. So if you have an agreement with them, it's just a matter of returning the pipeline or creating an entire education pipeline for kids who don't have access to them. Because in the northern part of the country, we're not talking about lack of teachers or poor payment to teachers. We're talking about closure of schools because of insecurity. Where are those kids going to get the education from? But any form of education is better than no education at all. You know why? I went to a school that I was one of the people that built 1980 when they brought free education to Nigeria. They hired us to do mold blocks. We built it, and the day it was dried, we moved in as students. Teachers joined. That's the education that brought me to where I am today. That education was able to take me to the US, where I went to one of the best 10 universities to do my master's, Columbia University in New York City. Had I not had education at all, it would have been a different story today. So, the opportunity for it, access to it, quality, are the major three things that our investment in education must guarantee. And we must make it free. People have always said,
how are you going to fund it?
I always get this answer. Where did the Accountant General get 150 billion from? By his tool. Yes. So that's the question. Is the answer.
So it's like corruption is endemic in our country.
No, I don't know.
Just like Buhari, everybody thought that he was a saint, but look at the corrupt cases on the news right now.
Yes, that's the point. That's the reason why we must question why the media does that. Part of the reason why Buhari was able to get away with blue money in 2015, and then rigged himself back in 2019, and I say with authority that he rigged 2019 election, is that the media also.
But you can't say otherwise.
Well, the courts are part of our problem. Serious problem. The courts that's not delivering justice cannot be called courts. And they will tell you that, well, in the history of Nigeria, the presidential election has never been cancelled by a court. Right? So if you have that mindset, you are not interested in
presidential elections or governorships.
They have never cancelled the presidential election in Nigeria's history in a courtroom. Even when the president of Nigeria, Yar'Adua, confessed that his election was a fraud after he won in court and promised to fix it. He never fixed it because this is how people perpetuate the kind of rotten leadership we have in power. Part of the reason why the major candidates or front runners, as they call them, are not talking to the media. They don't need the media. They are waiting. They know where they are waiting. They are waiting in the. They are waiting for the poverty verification cards to validate poverty at the polling units.
Well, yes, when you spoke about education, you did speak about the fact that internet connections were going to. You questioned how people who own view centers in villages get access to them.
Yes.
One of the biggest challenges of this country's economy is energy, electricity, as it were. And I listened to you some other time speak about the fact that you could change the 7,000 generation to 24,000. I would take some rocket science.
No, it won't. It happened in African countries. I don't want to take it to the US. Do you know why? The energy production process has become more technologically defined and easier to do. In the past, to build a turbine and bring a turbine together that generates what you have at Kenji, you have to put it, it costs an arm and a leg. These days, you can put a wind turbine in the Atlantic Ocean and just line up from Badagry to wherever you can, how far you can go, and they'll be floating and producing electricity. Are you getting my point? You can decide, which is already happening. You can grow electricity in solar farms. If you are flying into Kano now, you look to your right, they have already started a small project there, and that can deliver to you a renewable energy source can deliver to you 5,000 megawatts of electricity. Tidal waves, you can use solar. You can increase the capacity of our hydro by damming the Cameroonian lake that floods Nigeria like every year. That one can give you almost 1,000 megawatts if you really invest. This is an investment which was made in 1977. My brother here has already finished the story. We came to solve human problems, but Nigerian leaders came to add to it for Nigerians. And they are doing a very fantastic job at it. Because when Buhari came, he met Boko Haram, he has now added bandits, added newer insecurity sources, and solved none of the problems that he said he wanted to solve. When Buhari came, it was only human beings that were stealing money. When he came, monkeys, snails, ants are now embezzling money. His own people are embezzling more money than you've ever heard before. So until that period, that Nigerians can vote for leaders that they can believe, and leaders who have capacity, who have the currency of understanding the problem and solving them, who have the right connections, both local and international, people who can recruit great hands to help solve the problem of Nigeria. Then Nigeria is not ready. That's the truth. Until we take these decisions, and it's going to be a big one.
You released the manifesto yourself in Kano State, right?
Yes.
What's your general perspective about working with manifestos or presenting manifestos to citizens? Are you also of the view that it's a compulsory document to be presented?
It is. It's like saying that we are a country without a constitution. Because the manifesto is an agreement. I won't say it's a contract because it's not legally binding. But it's an agreement written between you and the people who are voting for you to say, look, when you vote for me, I come to office, those are the things I will do. And that's what makes people vote for candidates based on promises that they make. So if I go out there and say, the agreement I'm making today, I'm not going to have to put it down so that you can hold it against me in the future, then I'm lying to you, because then you have nothing that you can pull out of. Why is it that it's interesting today to say, oh, there's an old poster of Buhari or billboard that says they would turn $1 to it now? It's because it was written. If it wasn't written, they would have completely denied it. Because these guys have no scruples lying. So you have to put money, and this is standard. We're talking about democracy. It's a standard for democratic engagement and conduct.
Let's talk about I'm more concerned about the Nigerian voter because I personally, and this is my personal thought, I'm not a politician.
I'm not a politician, too. I'm more of an activist, and I'm serious about it.
Okay. The Nigerian voter doesn't pay attention to ideas. They rather pay attention to his primitive sentiment. Is he from religion, tribe, and religion? How do you think we can fight that and make the little guy on the street, struggling maybe, some don't even know where their next dinner, their next meal is going to come from. But you find them promoting ideas that have kept them in perpetual poverty and thinking that it is the will of God for me to remain perpetually poor, without healthcare, education, or even decent housing, or a public infrastructure that will make my life pleasurable and I'll live the good life.
Don't let us blame the voters, because they're also victims of a society that has weaponized poverty. Some of those things that you hear from them are the politicians speaking through them, but they are very unconscious about it. They're talking about religious voters. Have you never had arguments with people who can read and write? Some of them write very well on social media.
Political literacy is one thing.
Yeah.
It's a different
So
thing.
there are people who are politically conscious, who say things that make you want to throw up. You must have had some of this interaction on Facebook, and they write so well. You know that this is not a bot talking to you, but they will bring backward ideas. Some of them are the ones who back some of the most backward candidates. And some of them even have titles: social media influencers, skit makers. So anybody who can write a skit is not an idiot. But they will push the worst candidates because why? Because of poverty. Poverty does not affect people who are poor alone. Poverty of ideas is poverty. Poverty of opportunity is poverty. And fear-driven poverty, which is why some of them do what they do. They are not exactly poor, but they don't want to be poor. They think if they act a certain way, they might become poor. So that fear of poverty drives a lot of backward ideas. So you must understand it from the sociological point of what happens to societies that are badly governed over time. You've heard about the syndrome known as Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm.
Yes, I think that syndrome is predominantly a Nigerian syndrome now. It should be renamed Nigerian syndrome because Stockholm is doing better. They no longer have leaders who treat them like that in Stockholm. Is that a lot of the voters or citizens have become defenders of their own enemies, and it's as if they stand guard over the gap between them and great life. Because a lot of these things you're talking about could have been addressed if a majority of our citizens took the right turn. But every time that opportunity presents itself for us to take the right turn, they take the left turn. And the politicians understand it. That's why I was calling PVC poverty verification card. That's why they're not talking to you, they are not granting interviews, they are not speaking to the public. They are stacking cash. And to make you feel like they believe in central bank we're going to change and redesign the naira. I see if we redesign the naira, poverty will not recognize it.
Yeah, let's open the conversation. In case you're just tuning in, we've been having a chat with the presidential candidate of the African Action Congress, Mr. Omoyele Sowore. Discussing the media, politics, and a plethora of different issues. You can call 081-2187-7777 or you call 090-5566-6699. Before you call, you'd have to turn down the volume of your radio or you turn it off completely, and then you tell us your name and where you're calling from. Gilbert will give you social media.
On Facebook at www.facebook.com/JFM Live, and on Twitter at JFM Just on Twitter.
Yeah, well, let's take the first call. Hello and good evening. Thank you for calling. During the conversation, tell us your name, please. What is it? Thank you for calling or listening.
A system that the Nigerians are not like most of the citizens are not happy about the system of how Nigerian is running, and we don't know or how the Nigerians do because the system have already been existed. But the question to your guest is that what is he going to say about the new electoral act signed by Mr. President Buhari? What role do that electoral act is going to be? And lastly, I want to assure you that the issue of vote buying, Nigerians are more, even though Nigeria are hungrier by this time, I think they are wiser enough to collect your money and not for you. So that's to say that vote buying, no matter how the present administration is set up, how they have set up the system of vote buying, Nigerians have already testified we are all in it. All these companies were all in it. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you, Sadiq. Thank you for calling. Well, let me read out some tweets and then Gilbert will take us to Facebook. Obidi Anagba is saying, the Lalong administration and the plateau will definitely affect APC chances as well as the scorecard of the federal government in the country, which has been very poor, disappointing, and underwhelming. He said, Luke Lord is saying, welcome to Jaws, Mr. Sowore. Greetings in the studio. Ayodele Agbabiaka is saying, this flag off of the APC of the Plateau wouldn't change the minds of Plateau people. They have disappointed Plateau people big time. Plateau people's eyes don't clear. Greetings to the freedom fighter, Sir Sowore. Noznyakogom John is saying, if they like, let the flag get in heaven. Nothing for APC. We will shame them when the time comes. Kwame is saying the APC will come this time third in Plateau State regardless of where they flag off their campaign. I admire Mr. Sowore so much and would love to see him form an alliance with Mr. Obi of Labour Party to get Nigeria working again. We cannot change status quo by working in isolation. DJ Kelly of Jos is saying, I beg we just want cash out. We after the money, not the party or its candidate. Obediently we move. Alvaro Escobar said, well, sound analysis. Lognan Garba is saying, I really like Sowore. I pray I will be given chance one day. He is the only presidential candidate who doesn't worship God fathers. Gilbert.
On Facebook, really interesting comments already. Isaac Ase is saying, good evening, Sunset. Absolutely. There's nothing tangible for the APC to campaign with. I'm just thinking on that one meaningful thing that they have done for us. But nothing, just wake up and collect your money, but vote wisely come 2023. Peter Agnes is saying, good evening, Ponsak and Gilbert. Let's be honest with ourselves. What will APC campaign with in Plateau State? To be honest, I don't think APC will get much winning votes because nothing to write home about this present administration. Joel Abok says, flagging their campaign in Jos is not a compulsory thing to do. So Plateau State citizens will go and collect the money on the 15th of November. Godfrey Ike is saying, good evening, Ponsak, Gilbert and the guests in the studio. My opinion on APC campaign flag up in Plateau State, it has nothing good to sell to Nigerians based on the antecedents. Moses Babuje Dong says, flagging up campaign in Plateau State will not give any party winning votes from Plateau State. Sixtus Hamnan is saying, yes, it is a good thing for APC to begin its campaign in Plateau State so that it will fail woefully. Faisal Sadiq says, good evening, gentlemen of the press. Welcome to J-Town, Omoyele Sowore. If Nigerians truly want change, this is the man we should all channel our votes to. We should all shun all those parties that are former APC and PDP members. Omo Dan Matthew says, what will APC campaign with? The massive failure in economy, security, education, Naira and others. Sixtus Hamnan is saying, I love JFM because they are neutral to all aspirants. They bring them all to the studio for interview. Congratulations. Thank you. John Williams says, they have the right to flag up their campaign in any local government we have in Plateau, but they will not win Plateau. Moses Daniel says, I didn't see what will make Platonians to vote APC in the upcoming election because they did nothing to the people rather than increase the prices of food, insecurity, and others. Chris Nandan Dashe says, Governor Lalong, in his bid to stay relevant in this scheme of things, despite his woeful performance in office, has decided to kickstart the APC presidential campaign in Jos. Nevertheless, the people of Plateau State are wise and will reject APC in totality. Faisal Sadiq, okay, I took this. Mike Adams says, how can you be asking okay. All right. Parties and contention. I think that's what you're speaking about. Falkuka Factors Goa says, APC as a party in Nigeria? No. That can't change the mind of electors from not voting Tinubu out. We know our own, but buying of crowd will be the numbers of that day. Gosel Manchang says, flagging of their campaign in just doesn't justify that they're winning Plateau. Voice of Truth, hashtag Stanley SC says, I don't think flagging of their campaign in Jos will help them because obedience is better than sack of rice. Joachim Joseph Dung says, we pray for good leadership. Comments are lengthy, Ponsak.
Yeah, they are. Let's take some phone calls. Hello. Okay, we got to you late. 090-55666699. Hello, good evening. Oh, so you need to turn down the volume of your radio.
Hello, good evening, Mr. Ponsa.
Thank you for calling. Join the conversation, please.
My name is Zira. I'm calling from Old Bukuru Park.
Well, listening. Thanks for calling.
Well, I want to comment your guest very, very well, Mr. Sowore. Good evening, and you're welcome to the studio there.
Thank you very much for commending me.
Honestly, you've spoken the mind of the citizen in Nigeria. And just like you said, the politicians have bought the minds of some journalists. Because we have some certain stations whereby if whenever we call to make our contribution, it's either we hear them defending the politicians telling us that we don't have facts, while we are seeing the facts roaming around in all the whole social media. That is so wrong. The media is supposed to help us channel all our problems because they are seeing all what we are facing through. This government has come into power through the media, and they have come to regulate the media by buying some of them, which is uncalled for. I just wish that we have some brave and strong journalists that will not send his conscience to all these politicians. It's uncalled for. And please, Mr. Sowore, please, if I could just give a little advice. You are still young. Why not join your forces together with Peter Obi so that at least we can take this country from these our stingy politicians that are just there embezzling our money. Thank you so much.
But he need to be himself tell you that he's stingy.
Thank you. Thank you. We have more phone calls. 08121877777. Okay. Hello. Good evening. Thank you for calling. Okay. I'll go to you late. 08121877777. Hello.
Hello. Good evening.
Thank you for calling. Join the conversation.
Yeah, this is John Salami calling from Barra.
Well, listening. Thanks for calling.
I don't know what the APC is talking about. The country is collapsed, and they are trying to say they are launching their campaign on the 15th. What are they going to campaign for? When they can't control the point, the president has set out for his medical trips in London. He doesn't even care what the masses are passing through. I'm just trying to say, shame to APC. Shame to APC. Shame to London. Thank you very much. God bless Nigeria.
Thank you. God bless you. Hello. Good evening. Thank you for calling. Thank you for calling. We're listening. Tell us your name, please.
Yeah, I'm calling from my ship.
Go ahead. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, I'd like to appreciate.
Tell us your name. Tell us your name. Tell us your name.
My name is Almas. I'm calling from my ship.
We're listening.
Okay, now. I'd like to discuss and I want to welcome your guest in the studio. Please, I've been looking for a moment to talk to him as a person. I don't know how to get his number. I like him for a person and he's a good guy. He's the one presenting. So, Omoyele is the man that has the bill, he has the conscience, and he has the integrity to put Nigeria in the right path. So, please, I would like to talk to him. I will want you to do this a while.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. Please go ahead, Mr. Sowore, and give your response to, because there's much audience engagement we can take for now. So.
Yeah, I will encourage that last caller to go on my Facebook page.
Okay, Facebook.
Omoyele Sowore, send me a DM.
Okay.
I tend to most of my Facebook activities personally. I'm probably one of the few candidates who does that. There was a caller most of the callers talking about the failure of the APC. I think the name of the APC should be replaced with failure, so that when you want to say something as good, let's call it the APC, and people will understand. I'm with all the Plateau citizens, wherever they may be, who are asking for revolutionary change.
How about joining for Peter?
I was going to address that.
Okay.
I'm not new to politics. I just don't like to be called a politician. What I'm doing, I've been doing consistently for 3 decades. And it's Peter Obi and others that should be joining forces with those of us who have stood to the masses while they were, with the oppressors from time to time. There's nothing new about Peter Obi. And his supporters don't like him. He was part of PDP in Africa, he was governor for 8 years. Nothing to show for it. The same thing, Tinubu has nothing to show for it. Same thing, your government here has nothing to show for 8 years of leadership. So, if Nigerians really want to change the country, you can't do it halfway. You have to do it. It's clean the pasture from the past. That's what I represent. I'm not as young as most people look at me, and I look youthful. I'm 51 years old, and Peter Obi is 61 years old. Just 10 years apart. So, in my 51 years of life, I have done so much. This is not the time to be praising ourselves, but I'm not here with any sense of entitlement. Like somebody said earlier, agenda or ambition is not driven by an entitlement, like the one thing always calling said, no condition, your rival is my town. And people who are followed it as you cannot handle the questions of performance when you're a governor, and what you will do differently. Nothing. That's probably why some of you are saying that we don't need manifesto, because they said it doesn't need manifesto. That's how politicians sound. But I'm different, and I've spoken to my ideas, my ideals, my history, my records, and those are the things that are important for me. There are people who are also calling Peter Obi to go back to the PDP and join his former party. People are entitled to still do all of this.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sowore. Indeed, it was very fascinating having a conversation with you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much for bringing me, and I want to say hello to the people of Jos. For those who might want to reach us officially, it's 080327422151.
Yes, I think it's slow.
Yeah, right. It's a 0.